In this lecture, I'm going to be unveiling secret number 2, upgrading your RAM. If you're not familiar with computers, this may sound like a foreign language, but don't worry, I will explain it. First of all, what is RAM? RAM are memory chips that are inside your computer that help your computer to multitask better. And to explain this, I have a bit of an object lesson. Imagine that there is a worker inside your computer that handles all the thinking, all of the processes. This worker can work on many things at once, and when a new task is given to him, like a computer program, he puts it on his desk. When given another task, he sets it on his desk next to the previous task and begins working on that one at the same time. If this continues, his desk will eventually be full of projects, and if he is given another task, he won't be able to work efficiently, and all the other tasks will suffer too because there's not enough room for that task. To explain RAM, I'm going to tell you that RAM is the desk. The bigger the desk, the more projects that can be handled at once. Likewise, the more RAM, the more tasks your computer can do at once. We're going to be talking about the differences of laptop versus desktop RAM so you know what to buy. Obviously, if you have a laptop, you'll buy laptop RAM. If you have a desktop, you'll buy desktop RAM. But the differences between the two can be confusing. Laptop RAM has 3 main classifications: DDR, DDR2, and DDR3. Although you will probably only use DDR2 or DDR3. It's been a while since people have used DDR RAM in laptops. DDR has a speed of 400 MHz, 200 pins, and is used mostly in really old laptops. DDR2 RAM has a speed of 800 MHz, also has 200 pins, and is really difficult to tell apart from DDR RAM. One way that you can tell is by reading the label. If you look at the picture of DDR RAM, you'll notice that it says DDR 333 MHz. If it was DDR2, it would say DDR2. The final type of RAM is the most current type of RAM that you can get today, DDR3. It has a speed of 1066 MHz and it has 204 pins. What sets it apart is that the notch in the bottom of the RAM is on the opposite side of the RAM chip, and it's a little bit further in from the far side. When in doubt, read the label. Desktop RAM is much longer and weighs a little bit more. Just like before, we have DDR, DDR2, and DDR3 RAM. They operate at the same speeds, but it's not exclusive. Some DDR RAM operates at 333 MHz. Some DDR2 RAM runs at 600 MHz. It all depends on what you want, but the more megahertz your RAM has, usually the faster it operates. Some of you might be wondering, where can I even buy RAM? And I'm excited to tell you about Newegg.com. Newegg is like the Amazon of computer parts. They usually have great prices, and that's where I bought a few computer parts when I needed them. Another great option that not a lot of people think about is eBay. I've purchased tons of new RAM off of eBay, and I've had great success. I restored my dad's computer to one that barely functioned and froze up a lot to one that worked flawlessly and smoothly by upgrading his RAM. In order to find the RAM you need, you should search for either laptop or desktop RAM, DDR, DDR2, or DDR3, matching whatever is in your computer, and as an option you can add the speed that you want. So in the example, I typed laptop RAM, DDR3, 1066 MHz. When you search for that, you'll see lots of results from a lot of different companies. There are actually quite a few companies that make RAM. Don't worry. It's okay to go with the highly rated ones, but you'll probably pay a little bit more. In my experience, I've always gone with the no-name brands. And even though they don't look as nice and they don't have that brand name, they work the same way. Some of you may be wondering how much RAM you should need as well. My recommendation is that most computers today should have about 4 gigabytes of RAM. Some people might think that sounds like a lot, but I think it's better to be secure for the future than to upgrade a little bit and then have to upgrade later. How to install RAM? It's a good question. My challenge for you is to use some of the skills you'll learn in Section 4 to harness the power of YouTube and teach yourself to install RAM in your computer. But don't worry, it's really easy.